When it comes to Descendants, BLAIR may not be your first choice, but after the buff that he received, you can see more and more people using BLAIR. If you're looking for a fire Descendant that can farm the hell out of this grinding game we call First Descendant, then BLAIR is your guy. If you're new to the game and you don't have a lot of resources at your disposal, you need a budget build. And this build I'm about to show you literally cooks, and you will be eating good with this build. And yes, this budget build can kill bosses too, not just Devour, the easiest boss in the game, but other bosses as well. You can do so much with this low budget build, I am really surprised. And no, you do not need a catalyst or an energy activator, otherwise I would not dare to call it a budget build. All you need is a maxed out sub-module to help you get those extra capacity. 60 capacities is all you need. My name is Weds. Let me show you this low budget build setup from the shelf himself. Now we are using classic shelf, and this Transcendent module turns BLAIR into a crit machine. You can get this module by either combining other modules or by farming Frostwalker on hard difficulty. Frostwalker is not that hard to kill. It's public matchmaking. Just join, there's always people melting that boss. Just bring some chill resistance so you can survive and grind the hell out of that guy. You should be able to get Classic Chef with no issues. If not, just combine 4 Transcendent modules you don't need, and you never know. Now, what if you don't have Classic Chef and you still want to try it? Well, you can just try BLAIR's other modules if you have any of them until you can get Classic Chef. BLAIR is just a fun character no matter what module you use for him. That's just my opinion. I used to use Deadly Cuisine for that big fireball damage, but I just prefer Classic Chef, especially for farming. In any case, so we are using a Classic Chef, and as you can see in the description, it turns you into a crit machine. So when you look at these skills, you can see for your passive that you get that skill critical hit damage increase, a 10% default, and you also have that skill critical hit rate. That is very good. Now you look at the description, so whenever you start attacking burned enemy, so whenever you put down your fire, you start burning enemy. You can also start burning enemy with your weapon. Like for instance, I use my Enduring Legacy because it's got a burn status effect that you can apply to enemy, so I can start with that. But it's all about burning the enemy and then start making all those damage. For your first ability, you got a 3 stack, you get to spam it 3 times and then start burning things in 3 different zones. That's when you start seeing all those crit damage. So continue burning the earth, scorch those enemies, and you are good to go. For our second ability, to manage our MP, so if we see that we already specify a zone, then we can pull out the mana, and then so we can get more MP to actually repeat the process. And then the third ability, it is very good, and I use it all the time. I like the idea that I'm using this just like a machine gun or whatnot to burn the enemy, just going around and burning them. It feels really good. But it takes more MP to use this than the first and the second one, so we use it sparingly. Now, for our fourth ability, although we don't use it as often, but when we drop this thing, it is glorious. Especially just make sure you have at least 3 stacks going on your screen, and you can do more damage, more crit damage. You're going to see a lot of crit, a lot of yellow number going on, and it is very good. Now, for the rest of the modules, we use this one. Mid-air maneuvering is the best one in my opinion, but you use whatever you want based on this situation. As long as you max this out, that's why you are able to have that 60 capacity. And for our survivability, not only that we are going to take advantage of our components to get survivability, but we are using Battle of Stamina instead of increased HP. But if you decide that you want to use increased HP, that's not a problem either. But I like to use modules that have 2 different stats that kind of benefit a budget build. And then this one fits perfectly. You got HP and you also got skill duration, which is what you need for characters like BLAIR, characters like Freyna. Now, we also use Nimble Fingers for the cooldown, because the more cooldown we have, the easier it's going to be for us to spam our skills. And for these two modules right here that we get for free, then that's the reason why I use emergency measures. Now, you can also use front lines if you want, but that will have this stats in reverse. But for me personally, I like more crit rate than crit damage. Now, to make sure that we have our fire as large as possible, then we use amplification control. There are other options that you can use for the build, but we go with that one because it also gives us a max shield. More survivability is better. And for the rest of the module, we're using focus on fire for that skill cooldown and also give us some fire skill power. It is not big, but it is something. But the skill cooldown is pretty nice. And it is not enhanced or anything. That's the reason why we are able to do that. And then we have 4 points left, so we use safe recovery. That's the best one that we can use here. For more survivability, it's not big, but it is something. I'm telling you, with what we are using, we are doing good. And it's pretty tanky. I'm going to show you when we start looking at the components. And that is it for the modules. You can take a look at it and see you can make some changes if you want to. But what I'm using here is really good. Ideally, if you can work in multi-talented, that's also a very good module to use if you can put it in the build. But we're not using this in this instance. Now, for our reactors and components and our stats, you can see we have 10,000 HP. This is a lot better than a lot of builds that you see on YouTube. That is very good. 10,000 is not bad at all because we are using our components wisely. Now, for the reactors, you get what you get. I'm using one that has skill cooldown and skill duration up. It works pretty good. Now, the weapons really doesn't matter, but if you want to do more damage, just switch to your afterglow whenever you're putting your skill down, and you'll be good to go. But most of the time, I don't do that. I just, keep my enduring legacy up, and I don't have any problem. Now, for components, what you need to do, you need to go to your inventory and try to find those components that have the more HP. So like you see, this one, I have HP on both slots, and that gives me a lot of HP. But the MP recovery out of combat is pretty nice too. And for our sensor, we got more HP, and make sure you have that max MP. And MP recovery in combat is really nice if you can get it. But if you don't have it, what's most important here is the max MP and some HP on there. And for our memory, we're using one which max HP, some defense, and also some MP recovery modifier. But the most important thing is the max HP. And we also have that defense on there. That's pretty nice. If you don't have it, but the max HP, in my opinion, is going to be the best in slot for you. In any case, for our processor, we also have max HP. That comes with some toxin resistance, which is nice. If you're going to fight anything that's going to damage you with toxic, then this is very good. And that max shield is not too bad. But it is whatever you get. The max HP to me is the most important. So if you can get that, then you are doing good. Now, again, I already showed you the stats. 10,000 HP is really good. And the defense, although is not how we would want it, but it's a budget build. That's all we can afford now, and it is all right. For weapon, use your best weapon. Enduring Legacy is the best weapon in my opinion, so that's what I'm using. If you don't have it, just use whatever is the best for you. Now, for transparency, I also show you what we have here, and that's for the seasonal stuff. It is whatever you got going on, and this is what I got going on here. Anyway, that's all there is to it. It's a very, very simple, low budget build that you can use for farming invasions, farming missions. Especially if you need to farm void fragments that are fire, then this is very good. This is really good. In any case, that's all we have. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next one.